Hey guys, thanks for joining me again. I tried to make a short of this and it ended up just being trash. It doesn't show Andrew very well and things. And I wanted to talk about this a little bit more because I was so hyped to hear Andrew say this, because this is what I say when I talk to people about it, is that secularism has no answer. The answer is never to remain in the insanity that you're already in. The answer is always to change. So he previously was having a conversation with these guys, Myron and all that, about the value that they actually end up placing on women who are promiscuous, right? The hoes and all that. And so they're like, okay, well then how would you fix it? Because we're coming from it from a secular position. Now, if you give any sort of thought to that at all, you would understand that the secular position has no answers. So, but I'm going to let Andrew say it, and then I'm going to sort of stop and comment along the way.
Perspective, it can't be fixed. From a secular perspective, it can't be fixed.
Sure.
Secularists have no moral foundation at all. Like it or not, they don't. And it really can't be fixed. However, what I can point to is this. Let's assume for a second hypergamy is real, right? I assume that it is. Okay. I think generally.
What I love about the hypergamy argument a lot of the time is that hypergamy used to be, or I can argue still is, also practiced by fathers, okay? A father's not going to want a deadbeat for his daughter, right? He's going to want the best or better, even better than him, even in some cases. So I believe that hypergamy is real. I just think everybody does it. Or I should say maybe fathers in particular do it, and then certain types of women will also do it. So they look at it as a bad thing. I look at it as just sort of like a natural thing that you should do, or that we do, maybe not should. That's the wrong word. But it's just like sort of a natural thing you do.
Speaking, there's enough evidence that we can look at and we can say hypergamy is at least it's real enough.
Yeah.
Right? It's real enough.
Agreed.
It used to be under control.
Yeah. Religion used to put under control.
Like it or not, we had that under control and under lock and key.
Religion, shame, families, fathers, all these things used to combat.
And see, they basically say that right there. They just don't say that men practice hypergamy. But that is what they're doing. They're doing, I want something better. I want the top if I can get it for my family. I want this. So you can see that all throughout history if you just read history about how people were married off, who they were married off to, why the impetus of multiple wives, things like that. It's the money a lot of times. In a secular society, hypergamy happens naturally because of resources.
Yeah. Secularism destroyed all that.
I agree.
And so
I agree.
So this is where I disagree with him. I think hypergamy is secular. I don't think it's religious. I do think that people will naturally do that. Because again, fathers used to do it. They used to say, you can only have my daughter if your dowry is this much. You can only have my daughter in exchange for a kingdom. You can have my daughter in exchange for whatever. Right? And so this is something everybody did. And so to frame it like this is weird. The church is the one that said, you marry based on your task by God, basically. So I married my husband because God put us together, not because he made the most money in my area, right? That's not why I married him. I married him because that's the man that God pointed me to, because that's the man God has me on task with. He has certain things he wants my husband and I to do in this life, and we are to do it together, right? So that's a different way of looking at things. It's not looking at it in a hypergamy way. So I disagree with him there.
When I say to people, and I understand the argument, we're never going back to that, but we are. We are going to go back to that, and I'm going to explain how. It's not going to be in our generation, but if you look at the birth rates, the global birth rates, they're in massive, rapid decline, and it's a problem most people have no idea about yet, how bad the population collapse is really going to be.
It's very bad, especially the Western countries.
But you know these stats. What age are women on average now getting married?
into their late 20s, 30s now.
30 is the average age, right?
Yeah.
I think it's 31 is the average age last time I looked. How many kids are you going to have as a 31-year-old woman?
Very few.
Very few.
Yeah.
Well, these women are becoming quicker and quicker genetic dead ends, but so are secularists in general. If you look at the religious reproduce far and away more than secularists reproduce. Cross-generation.
So it's because the religious value children. The secular don't. They want to be able to get rid of their children. They want to be able to kill their children. They want to be able to take their kids at any age and just not deal with them at all. Because children are not valued in a secular mindset. So in a religious mindset, I shouldn't even say religious, because in the Incas, their religion was to kill their children. In a Christian mindset, even if it's Christian light, children are protected, they're precious, they're seen as a blessing versus the secular one, okay? So Christianity will always, as far as birth rates, do better than the secular.
This is going to become worse and worse and worse. As people leave the Protestant churches, they're moving towards Catholicism, Orthodoxy, more traditional churches. There's big pushes in those churches to have families and to have children and to reproduce. You know, the old adage for Catholics, right? You know, if you don't have 10 kids, you have no kids, right? Yeah. Reproduction is the future.
Yeah.
The religious reproduce, and secularists are not reproducing.
That's why London has been taken over by Muslims.
That's right. That's right. And if you look at, I'll only touch on this very briefly, but even if you look at Israel, Israel is the only westernized nation that has a reproduction rate that is stable. It's actually over what is necessary, because they took one look at it and went, okay, we got to get these numbers up. How are we going to do that? So they implemented an in vitro fertilization program for free for the entire nation.
Really?
Yeah, for the whole nation. An in vitro fertilization. You can go have it done 12 times and they'll pay for everything.
Interesting.
In order to keep those numbers up. Because they look around, they're like, we're surrounded by, everybody, right?
Yeah, it makes sense why they would do it.
We better have a future army, right? We better have a future army. Yeah. But the West has not rang the alarm bells just yet. They're just now talking about it in Congress.
Yeah.
But then what's another side effect of that? Your domestic population is not reproducing. How do you keep the number at 330 million? There's only one way to do that, right?
Yeah.
And that's going to be with immigration coming in.
Yeah.
And, well, that creates instability all on its own. And then what happens if you start pulling in immigrants from other nations and they have a reproduction crisis?
Yeah.
Right? So if you look at all the downsides of a coming population collapse, you can see that religion's going to make a pretty heavy comeback. And you see it already being fought about now. Secular ethics can't offer people anything. It can offer them only hedonism, but ultimately it can't give people purpose. It just says go find your own purpose. But what the hell does that mean? That doesn't help.
So as far as the birth rates, I think that's sort of a natural thing. I believe that God put in sort of I think we're never going to be overpopulated because we have a natural control. Sort of like wolves when they howl and stuff, that tells them how many, it basically can control how many pups they have. And I think the more, like, we're crowded, we have less kids. If we have space, we have more kids. Left to a natural design. I think there are other unnatural things happening that are stopping us from having children. And that's the government. I don't care that the government is helping people have kids. It's a moot point. They do so much to discourage it. They put so many chemicals in food, water, air. They're messing with so much stuff that it is now messing, or it has. You're starting to really see how they messing with things messes with you. Like, the humanity and nature and all this stuff is all interconnected. God created it interconnected. So we have to think about that as well. Not only just with the ideology that these guys are talking about, but then also with just all the other things that is happening. Okay, let's keep going.
Help anybody?
My internet won't let me.
How does that help people to tell them, well, just go find your own purpose? Like, well, that's what I'm here for. I'm here to find purpose, right? Yeah. That's what I came to church for, is to find purpose.
Yeah.
Secularists can't provide that.
So I agree with you, Andrew. I think in the future, things will change. However, right now, what do you do?
Well, so right now, you should try, I mean, this is me again. if I look at the historic trends, most men were never able to reproduce anyway. Okay, some 60, 70%.
Yeah.
They were never able to reproduce.
Only a minority.
Ever. That's why we have double the female ancestors to male ancestors, right? I would still say that the best thing that you can do is to try to live an integrity-filled life, and that at the end of that life, regardless of how it went, right? Maybe you didn't get that hedonistic pleasure that you wanted, but neither did your ancestors.
I think this appeal to ancestor thing is interesting. I guess it would work for a secular-minded person, but essentially, he's saying, have honor, be an honorable person, and live life correctly and well, right? We go over this all the time in Christianity. Not everyone is called to marriage. Some people are called to singleness and to be alone and work only for God. The Bible says actually that it would be better if you could not be married. That way your sole focus is on God. Okay? So marriage is good. Singleness is better, but for a reason. It's not just random singleness where you get to go do whatever. It's so that you can focus on God. So he basically says that in a roundabout sort of way. So if you're single and you don't think you're going to be able to find the person, right? God doesn't seem to have that for you, let's say. Then your job is to plug in wherever God put you, whatever task he has for you. And in the Bible, there's already tasks laid out that you should be doing. And then there's stuff on top of that. It's like I always say, guys, if you're a Christian, you're busy. You don't have time to sit around and be thinking about, how do I say this? If you're a Christian, you're busy doing stuff. You have a job. You have multiple jobs. You have the job that you work for money. You have the job of taking care of your family. You have the job of spending time with them. You have the job of whatever it is you do at church, because you should be plugged in at church, involved in some way, whatever way it could be. You have the job of then saying, God, what do you have individually for me? Because I'm already at church. I'm already helping the widows, the orphans, the people who are downtrodden. I'm already doing these things. Now what do you want me to do? Or where do you want me to go do it? We are busy about our job, our tasks, okay? We don't sit on the couch and think to ourselves, oh my gosh, I need more pleasure. Okay? Because we're already doing the things that will create a natural pleasure in your mind. So what does that mean? So basically what I mean by that is all of these community things, helping people, being engaged in church, doing what you have been called to do by the higher power, creates in your mind the happy hormone that right now I'm blanking on. But every time you do that, it creates within yourself a sense of wholeness, a sense of well-being, a sense of belonging, a sense of knowing what is true because you do know it's true, a sense of all of these things that I am more than just me, I am part of everything, okay? And that creates good mental health. It creates a positive outlook on life. It creates everything that you could possibly think of in positivity. Now, if you're created for marriage, then you should be out looking for a wife in the church. All right. The Bible says all of this. It has all of these answers. It has all of it. And that's why I keep pointing people to it. Like Andrew does also say, because the secularist has no moral foundation, they will never find it. Right now, these guys, fresh and fit, will sit there and talk to women, and they'll occasionally have guys on as well, and say that, they will basically support the idea of going back to multiple wives and one guy. They will support the idea of the guy just going out and having sex with whoever. They will support the idea of a pre-medieval life, right? Where whether or not you are married just depends on whether or not you want to be, and it has no value, really. All right, that's what they say is good. That's what they say you should do. And if you're a man listening to me and you're thinking, what is this woman saying? Well, I would encourage you to never do that. All right, they lead men down the wrong path constantly, and I hate it. And that's probably why I'm so passionate about this conversation. I'm glad they're talking to Andrew, because Andrew just points it out to them exactly how it is. When I talk to people about this, I say the same thing. You cannot be trying to figure out your life and make it better and stay in this secular mindset. I was talking to somebody about it yesterday, and I said it used to be that if you thought you were atheist, or you thought the way to do things was opposite of what the Bible said, you were considered an idiot. Okay? It had training for children. I was reading books about how the people used to train their children. And it says in there that if a child persists with the idea of atheism, you should have them tested for idiocy. Okay? There's no way that you can sit there and, as an intelligent thinking person, and say to me that the secular way is the way to go, and I'll just give you advice on how to be secular and think you're doing the right thing or a good thing. Think everything through, guys. Read your Bible, pray, go to church. This is how we have made the amazing West that provided freedoms and things like that. This is how we have created what people call the good life, right? Where we work, but it's not so backbreaking that that's all you ever do. It's how we created the Bill of Rights, the Constitution. Anything that you would say that creates freedom came from the Bible. The idea, at the very least. So I love this. I'm sorry that my my short was just trash. I didn't do a very good job on that, but that's all I wanted to say on this one, guys. Remember to pray and read your Bible, and I'll see you in the next one, okay? Hopefully it'll be shorter. Bye.